Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. And hello, Alice. How are you? It's really good to It's been a while, hasn't it? When last did we actually have a convo? Quite a while ago, right?
It's been about a month.
Hmm. Well, it's really, really good to have you back, Alice.
Thank you.
And it's Tuesday, the 16th. Can you believe we're in the middle of January?
No,
Can you believe it?
no. Can't believe it.
This is obscene. It's absolutely obscene the way time is flying. But anyway, we will enjoy this year. We will surf these waves. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting year indeed. So I think buckle up, buttercups.
I have this feeling that this is going to be a year. It's different. When the ball came down, I was like, this is different. I'm not excited. I'm not unhappy, but I'm just like something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you actually saw the show that Caleb and I did on the New Year's.
Yes.
Symbology or whatever it was, and it's so super interesting. The whole Janus January thing, and the whole New Year, all the New Year's rituals, and all of these things that aren't really anything the way that they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really great when we can understand and we can know these things, and we can actually just work according to our own original agendas. This is why I think I just don't give a shit about anything really when it comes to that. People must do their own thing. It's like, for me, it's my life, my rules. I like to do the way that I intuitively feel about things, and most people don't understand that about me, and they go, yeah. But it's the way I've always lived my life, and it's gone down extremely well. And now when I look at these things, I understand why, because most of the things that society has imposed upon me has never, ever sat well, ever, ever, not even as a kid. It didn't make sense to me. A lot of this stuff just didn't make sense to me. And now, I mean, we're at the age that I'm at, and now I go, well, yeah, that's why it didn't make sense to me, So, but we are really in some super interesting times, that's for sure. And I think especially this year, because I know it's the American elections coming up at the end of the year. And that, I think, is going to be a big one, because that, I think, in many ways is going to be a deciding factor for lots of things. So,
I don't even know if we'll have an election, Shanti.
Well, do you know that there was something that I actually saw on, is it Siri? This computer thing, generated thing you ask questions to and it answers you.
Right.
And it said there's not going to be a 2024 election or a president in 2024 because of wars and stuff. But at the end of the day, I also like to just believe that we do not have to subscribe to that agenda. If there's enough of us that are awake, I think a lot of these, when we're looking at, I always talk about the Simpsons, and I'll get it eventually without having to think about it. The one where they swear so much. South Park. All I remember is all the swearing that happens in that thing. With that type of predictive programming, they've done it because they need us to create that for them. They know that human beings have the ability to manifest, and we have the ability to create with our thoughts, and especially with our feelings, because your emotions are your fuel. So when we go into fear, we give them exactly what they want, right? So when we don't choose that. When we choose, there is going to be an election, and there is going to be a new president who actually leads the country with integrity. And I mean, it's like for a long time I've been saying, to people, because a lot of South Africans will question, why do I work so much with Americans? I'm saying, because if it's happening in America, you better be sure it's happening here. It's just in a very undercurrent way. And I'm actually surprised that many South Africans are still walking around with eyes wide shut. I have to tell you that. So I think it's just, you know, when we decide that America is going to have a president, and he is, or she is going to be a president with integrity, then we choose that, we create that. It doesn't have to be these Lucy's sitting at the top of the food chain right now deciding our fate. They've been doing that for long enough. And really, I think enough of us are awake right now at this point in our lives to not have that kind of nonsense anymore. So, yeah, that's my take on 2024. I think we should just create what we want out of it. Hello, Liz. Nice to see you. Hello, everybody.
Liz,
nice
hi,
to see you.
How are you?
Good to have you all here, everybody. Let us know who you are, where you're from, because obviously we now, as you can tell by the title of our show, the holiday blues build up to the letdown. And I know that those of you who joined Caleb and myself as well, it was so amazing. And we're going to be doing that regularly, by the way, on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Well, it was Eve for me, morning for you guys. We did a live gathering in our Zoom chat room.
My what do you call it? Notifications don't come through. I set the bell to notify me, and it doesn't come through. I don't get it. But it's not your, I mean, it's not your fault.
That is a sure sign that we're being shadow banned, for sure. And and that's why I keep saying to you guys, please know we are shadow banned. You know, especially the second time in rebuilding Aquarius Rising Africa. Remember, we got struck. Right, we were sitting on about 35,000 subscribers, and we got struck. Boom, and the rebuild has been quite a slow process. And it's like what will happen is I'll notice, like I'll check, and then suddenly tomorrow I've got 400 less subscribers, and then you'll see again build, and suddenly boom, 700 less subscribers. So that's that's what happens with the shadow ban channels. They're keeping us here because spiritually, I won't let them take us down. That's not going to happen again.
It's just really, it amazes me. And some of the garbage that's on YouTube, like total garbage. I'm sorry. And, you have such a spectacular show, I should say plural, with all the guests that you have, including me. No, just kidding.
Of course, including you, Alice. You're one of my favorites. I have. Yeah, I think it's been amazing. I think you are definitely definitely my favorites. Well, as you say, there's I think 4 or 5. Actually, as I always say, I've really worked towards getting this channel in the way that I've wanted it. In the sense that there are anchors for a lot of different things, and each anchor kind of builds that aspect of the show in their way. So, by getting in on different guests and interesting guests and stuff like that, that really expands on these things. And that's why I say, when we're looking at the SRA and the underbelly of the world, it really starts with that SRA stuff, and with Kerry doing the adoption stuff, because those whole forced adoptions, that really is the beginning, and it has such a strong root in the child trafficking, right? And then, of course, that the next thing would be your situation, the mental traumas caused through that, and that would be a split off from that. Then, of course, Jesse, who would give us an understanding of what's going on, who's doing it, how it all works. Caleb is a living example of all of these things, in terms of that. So, yeah, for me in that way. Then, of course, I have Bryce, that is the queen researcher, and Bryce and I have so many things in common, and I just have such an enjoyable, fun time with her. Catherine as well, Catherine Edwards, who's a regular on the show. And then, of course, now Veronica Swift. I mean, how cool is it that Veronica Swift is on as well?
I think she's wonderful. I've read her stuff and her blogs, and amazing writer, amazing information gatherer and explainer. So
yes. All of these things, and then of course more, and solutions as well. Solutions is really where we do the more healing stuff, the easier stuff on the ear or the eye, whatever you choose to call it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
our topic today is a little different. It just came to me because I was thinking, what is everyone feeling right now? What are people feeling? And it's the build up to the letdown. It's go, 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 go. During the holiday season, it doesn't let up. And then all of a sudden, crash, you hit that wall, and it's like, what just happened? So we're going to talk about that. And I was talking to Shanti. I said, let's get some participation from the audience for absolutely certain, anyone that has questions or feedback,
experience. Yeah, I'm looking at Sarah's comment here, and Sarah, I know we actually communicate via email as well. And what Sarah's saying, yeah, this is my 24th Christmas alone, and it's just another day to me. I don't get caught up in it at all. I was waiting for an answer if I have cancer in my eye. Well, Sarah, I really hope that you are cancer-free, babe. I really, really hope that you're cancer-free. And just to say hello to everyone in the chat, Liz, Jessica, Carrie, and of course, Sarah, who goes by Dale Bailey. Sarah's her name.
I was like, where are you seeing Sarah? And then I just saw, okay, now I get it.
Are you in the comments? Are you in the main comments? Top right corner. Just go onto comments. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is really crazy. Pray for you, honey. Pray for you. My brother's fighting 2 types of cancer right now. He's got the multiple myeloma, and he's got esophageal cancer. And I get wordless. I don't know what to say. I mean, you can pray and pray and pray, and I cry out to God, and I'm just like, God, I don't understand this. He's in so much pain, so much pain. But cancer.
I'm so sorry to hear that. We'd love to have him on the show again, actually. I mean, it was great to actually have him on the show. I don't care what anyone says, having these types of conversations is so freeing. It is so freeing, not just for him, but for the rest of the world as well. Everyone who's actually listening to us speak about these things. They are difficult topics to listen to because I had no idea. Jessie was just saying the other day, I mean, I thought this stuff was in the minority, right? I really thought like every now and again you'd find a family that sexually molested their kids or did something disgusting like that. Jessie was saying in her community, 70% of people were involved. And now you can imagine the 30% that weren't were so cognitively dissonant that they have no idea what's going on, walking around with eyes wide shut, because they've probably been duped as well by those that are busy doing it as well.
There's so many that live a double life, and it's crazy. It is totally
Sarah, crazy. No cancer. Ooh.
She has no. What happened?
No cancer.
Oh,
yay!
That is fantastic. Thank you, Jesus.
That is really great.
Wonderful. Well, what I really want to talk about today is how's everybody feeling? Because it's like, all this buildup, and they find that 38% that do not have mental health issues, 38% of regular people experience depression, anxiety, stress attacks, all kinds of stuff during the holiday season. And
I believe
that's the people without mental health issues. And then with mental health issues, 64% of us that have mental health issues raise up into suicidal status, where it's just like, really, really bad. And so it's not funny what it does to us, because there's all of the prep. There's, a lot of it seems like fun, the cooking, the baking, having the relatives over, all the events, and you look on social media and it seems like everybody's having a picture postcard, happy, fun time. And you're sitting there saying, what's with me? I'm lonely, I'm depressed, and then the other thing that comes into it is the days get shorter, the nights get longer. We have, unfortunately, daylight saving time here in America. And it really brings your mood down, because then you have the darkness setting in at 4:30. When usually it's 7:30, it's 4:30 in the afternoon and it's dark out. And it helps to add to what they call SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder. And a lot of people get that, which throws
Talk
them
about
in.
that. I've never heard of that, actually. I mean, I can understand and imagine what it is, but you want to just expand on that for us?
Sure. What it is depression that comes from not having enough sunlight and hit the retina, and not having enough sunshine, vitamin D, everything that sun brings to us. And so there's ways that you can help it with a sun lamp, or they have light booths that you can go into. But basically, it's a sadness that comes over you, and it actually affects your psychological, your immune system, everything, and causes a deep, what they call major depressive disorder, because of the fact that you're not getting enough sunlight. And so there's a lot of people that isolate and don't go out that are affected by this also, because of the fact that they're not getting enough sunlight. So does that sound familiar?
That is so crazy. Of course, here in South Africa, it's our peak summer. So we have beach holidays. Everyone's in their bikinis running around building sandcastles. That's our December, and so it's quite crazy to imagine. I mean, I know, yet you're looking at, I mean, as people in the South, you're looking at Christmas cards. They're always beautifully with these perfect little Christmas trees. And I remember the first time I ever saw snow over Christmas was, I think, at the end of 1989. The first time I went overseas, my late fiance was an Austrian. I went to Austria for Christmas. Man, oh man, was it beautiful. But, I know exactly what you're talking about when it gets dark and stuff. But, for me, it was great excitement. I was with Hannes. We were skiing. We were meeting friends in the evenings for drinks and dinner and going tobogganing. And it was a really, really, really cool holiday. But I can imagine to live in that space all the time, because, oh my gosh, my ears were so sore. I remember just having the most insane earache from the cold. Yeah, I had to wear those, not the ear fluffs. I didn't wear ear fluffs, everybody, but I wore a band around my head.
The goggles. The goggles.
They're like those bands, bands across your ears type thing.
It's really, it's bad. It's a time I remember. I'll never forget when one Christmas Eve we were walking out of a church service, and this guy was just sitting alone in the back of the church. And I think I told the story before, but I'll just tell it real quick. And I was like, "Wait a minute, guys, hold up, family. I got to go see this gentleman back here. What's going on?" So I just sat in the booth in front of him, and I said, "Sir, if you don't mind me asking, my name is Alice, etc. You look really, really depressed. Like, what's going on?" And it takes one to know one, And he
Absolutely.
said, "Well." He said, "I'm looking at that. I'm going to leave this church, and this is going to be my last holiday, and I'm going to take my life." And so that started off our Christmas Eve with my husband and I and our daughter, Nikki, just speaking into this man's life and getting the hospital staff involved. We had, some representatives that came over from the local hospital that were able to talk to him. He did not get admitted, which I'm really glad, because hospital admission isn't always the answer. But, I just wanted to make sure that if he really did follow through, that we were covering all the bases, beforehand. So
when was this?
This was like about 3 or 4 years ago. And,
right.
People are so, you have to, in my opinion, and being an empath and being somebody that lives with mental disorders, notice people. I mean, it's so important. Notice your niece or your nephew or your aunt or uncle or grandparent or whoever it is that's sitting there and they have a deep sadness behind their eyes. And, don't be afraid to talk about it. Say, Auntie, is something going on that you want to discuss? I couldn't help but notice you look really down. Because like you said, you had a blast on the ski slopes and you were having a wonderful time and just, living it up. But then there's those that are thinking, this is going to be my last holiday and I'm not going to be here, because it all comes crashing in for some reason. And don't forget what the satanic side of it is. Winter solstice, they're doing so many ritualistic things and so many horrible sacrifices and everything else that's bringing all this bad juju into the air too, So
that's exactly what I was going to say as well. So even if even if physically you're not involved in it, energetically it's still happening, right? Especially there where so much of it is going on. And again, so many of the survivors and overcomers who've experienced that in the past, right, are dealing with the PTSD around those times. So it's serious PTSD. And especially, we know, and I know as well, that a lot of survivors they tend to isolate themselves. And especially ones that have got severe PTSD. A lot of them have serious addictions. I mean, when we're looking at people, let's say women especially, and men, but let's look at women especially who've been sex trafficked. And they will often be into prostitution and stuff right now because that's all they know. So it's that time of the year for them as well, where and I know this through speaking to some of them, right, that it's a very bad time of the year as well in terms of stuff like that. And a lot of the survivors who've got addictions, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's just creating patterns and behavior that isolate themselves from the world because they're so angry and because they're so hurt, that they do not know how to invite people into their space. And they do not know how, because most of them just want to be left alone. But do they really want to be left alone? No, they don't.
No.
That's the thing. So it's such a, and going back to what we were saying earlier on in this conversation, for me, these types of conversations and to create this type of awareness, this level of awareness is so important. So that people like myself, and I'm one of the, I realize now I'm one of the few, and rest assured, my family, despite our minor dysfunctions, we were a strong, very, very strong, and still are very strongly connected family. Every holiday, every December, we went to our holiday house in the Transkei on the Wild Coast. All our cousins were there. All our aunts and uncles were there. We had great holidays. We really, really, really did. And I'm sure there was issues that went down, etc. Sometimes, I don't know, with whatever. But really, we have. And for me, someone like myself, it is so important to be able to understand this about others. This year, for the first time ever, I was on my own, but I was quite happy to be on. I was actually so joyful. I was so joyful to be on my own because my mom was away and my brother, who's usually here, his daughter gave birth on Christmas Day, actually.
Oh,
so he was.
wow! Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and usually we would spend Christmas, and my mom and I have this thing, one of us will be all the time to take care of the place and the animals and stuff like that. So for me, and of course my friends and stuff, you're all with your family and blah, blah. I was so happy to spend those times on my own because I'd never done it before. And I really hadn't. So I was actually, for me, it was a joyful occasion. But I was also surrounded by people. And that's why when we had those gatherings, it was evident to me that there were a lot of sad people at this time. So it's so important for us that can understand how these things work out for a lot of people. And that's why I keep saying it's so important for all of us to understand what it's like for those who've been traumatized during this time. And, those who don't have families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see Duke says that he doesn't do Christmas. And Carrie says she hasn't done it since 2015. That is, even if you don't do Christmas, you can't help but get the outskirts of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's all out there. The decorations are out there. The hustle, the bustle's out there. All that stuff is still going on. And
yes,
I'm not saying, Duke, that you feel loneliness. I'm not trying to superimpose that on you, but perhaps it does make you feel very lonely. If you're not doing Christmas and you're not involved in it, and it's something that, it makes you feel like you miss family. Maybe there's loved ones that have passed on and you're missing
yes,
them,
I agree.
And like Shanti was saying, the PTSD is tremendous. I have a lot of PTSD during the holiday. And I was telling Shanti a story. My husband and I both got that flu bug that it was going around here in the United States. It was horrendous. I swear they spray us with something. They do something. I don't know what they do, chemtrails or whatever they do to us. But this stomach bug was nothing like I've had in our. It started with our granddaughter. And then it went through the whole entire family. And my husband had it so bad, and he was so weak and dehydrated. And it was about 3 a.m. and he got up and went to use the facilities. And all of a sudden I hear this crash. I just heard this loud crash. And I go in, and there he is. And he's got blood coming out of his mouth, blood coming out of his nose. And he had hit his face, and he had passed out because he was so dehydrated and just really, really bad. So I was panic struck. I didn't know what was going on. And it turns out that he busted a blood vessel in his nose. And thank God that was as serious as it got. But, we were sick through the whole entire holiday season. And because of his busted blood vessel, every time we turned around, he was having a nosebleed, just gushing out. And not to be disgusting or anything, but it was really intense. And we're trying to keep up with things and do things and think of what happens with the stomach bug, and you're not exactly in the mood to go out. And it was a real letdown. And then my mother got sick, and she wasn't able to join us. So things can still come in and hit you from places that you're not even expecting, and
Right.
hit other people, so that depression sets in. It really set in for me. I had to fight tooth and nail to not go into a deep depression where I don't leave the bed, I don't leave the room, I don't talk, I don't eat, that kind of depression. So I really had to fight that this year. Just the battle was intense, I'll tell you. So
Yeah. No, I well believe that. And even if you are not affected by that, there are lots of other people who are. And I love what Charmaine was saying there. I make baked goods, wrap them individually, and deliver them to total strangers just to encourage them and let them know
oh, that's so sweet.
I think stuff like that is so important, that we can actually do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can realize there are a lot of people, and in fact, this Christmas as well. Now I know the shops are all closed, but there's a little greengrocer sort of shop here that I know the Pakistanis, owned by Pakistanis, they don't celebrate Christmas, so they
Mm-hmm.
invariably open on Christmas, and I ran out of something that day, so I quickly dashed off to the shop. And I was surprised how many people were out and about on Christmas. Like normally, they're at home, the streets are quiet here. And I just bought a whole lot of stuff because there was a whole lot of random guys sitting outside. I just bought chocolates and I think bought some bread rolls and some pies, or we call them pies. They like pastries with chicken or whatever in,
Mm-hmm.
and I just gave them to the guys that were sitting out there, and I just said,
Mm-hmm.
Merry Christmas, all of you, and they were so grateful,
You're so
it's just stuff like that.
sweet.
Yeah, it's just like,
Oh.
it's the least I can do. And that's the way I see it. And I mean, it's even like going to the SPCA, walking a dog, if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
stuff to do, stuff like that. And I mean, I really think at times like that, if you are having a bad time as well, to get out there and do stuff like that, go to an old age home for the
Mm-hmm.
day. There are lots of old people who have got nothing, and maybe buy some random chocolates or bake a few things or get
Mm-hmm.
muffins and just go in there and wish everyone a Merry Christmas and just drop, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. Go to the pet shelter, take the dogs for a walk. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, there's always something to do. There's always something to do
Mm-hmm.
on these days. So yeah, I really think, going back to the title, the build up, there's a lot of build up. And I mean, living in a holiday town myself, I know, boy, when the tourists start setting in here in the first week of December, I like, oh my God, can we choose? Want to cover myself up, right? And they amped up, boy, and our shops are empty. I mean, we've got quite a busy little metropolis going here. And
Mm-hmm.
you hear them partying two houses down, and the music
Mm-hmm.
is going, and it's up until there. And at the end of the holidays, and it's funny because that same house, two houses down, these people were having screaming fights with each other. It was actually
Oh.
something to hear from their partying at the beginning of the holiday, and like the night or two before they left, the fights and the accusations. And I
Alcohol.
just and I
Alcohol.
went, yeah, I just went, oh my gosh, that's really people that don't want to go home. Their
Mm-hmm.
holidays come to an end. They've probably spent their money. The high is down. It's like a drug, in many ways, it's like a drug. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's that high, and then suddenly you've got to deal with reality of going home, facing it's going back to work. Mostly
Mm-hmm.
it's jobs people don't even like. Um, Kids are going to school again. It's busy. It's right back to the problems that you left behind for 2 or 3
Exactly.
weeks is what you have to go and face again. And I
Exactly.
just, yeah, that for me is what is very clear
I
about
have
these
a
times.
list. The list says that the things that set in are physical and mental fatigue, Pressures from perceived obligations related to travel, meal planning, gift giving, financial stress. Financial stress is really intense over the holidays. High expectations caused by an exaggerated portrayal of the holidays in TVs, movies, media, social media. Travel stress from overcrowded airports, traffic jams, plane schedules get messed up, jet lag, stressful family gatherings, the first holiday season after the passing of a loved one, loneliness, disappointment over not being able to see family and friends, isolation, seasonal depressive disorder. These are all things, that are real that hit us. And like you said, Shanti, then having to just pick it up and go back to work, put on that happy face.
Exactly.
Yay! So excited, to be back at work. Not really so much. And our kids did a lot of traveling this season. And Ross, our daughter's husband, son-in-law, what am I trying to say? His family is divorced, so they have two sets of families that they have to go to and split their time and have a whole nother Christmas. So our granddaughter Desiree, who's 3 years old, went through three Christmases.
On one day.
Well, basically, it wasn't one day. She had Christmas with us, left on the plane, had Christmas with Grandma 1 and 2, drove in the car, had Christmas with Grandpa and Grandpa 2 and 3. And so it was like, and I'm not saying, of course, she's the only grandchild. Everybody wants to spoil her. But can you imagine how overwhelming opening all those gifts and just all the hubbub and meeting all the family members and, being around everybody. When she came back, woo, I was like, who took my granddaughter? What happened to her? It was very overwhelming for her. And then it was very overwhelming for the kids. And actually, their relatives were not in good moods for the holidays. They were, I don't know what was going on. I have no idea. But Nicole said that Ross's parents were just pretty bitchy, to be honest with you. And they weren't having
a good time. Yeah.
They weren't having a good time. And so here they are, Ross and Nikki, trying to force people to open up and have a good time and let's do this and let's, we only see each other once a year, so let's make the most of it. But the 3-year-old was caught in the middle of all that. So to me, I can relate to that. That's traumatizing. And since she's been home, she's been crying over everything. Anything that happens, she can't find her dolly, she can't find this, or mommy's not here or something. She's hysterical. And I think it's the way that she's getting rid of the stress of all the holiday season and processing in her little body, trying to get through that.
Yeah. To absolutely process that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is overwhelming for them. Oh, most definitely. It's extremely overwhelming, and it can be. Wow.
Yeah. Do we have any questions for?
Yeah, just reading some comments here. Yeah, back to work, paying the credit card. That's what we were saying. It's sort of going back to reality of life. The high of Christmas, maybe going away, something you look forward to for at least 3 or 4 months before you start booking your holiday. You start making sure you gather, because it's not just the time you're there, it's the build-up. It's like a 3 or 4 month build-up. You're booking the space, you're saving your money, you're going, right. It's something, it's getting closer for a lot of people. And a lot of people say, well, I refuse to be alone. I'm going away. I'm going to make it special, and then coming back. And, as I said, for me, it's also seeing that, You got to come back. You got to face the same reality that you left. And very often, and I know from my past as well, that wasn't always pleasant. Coming back, I'm in a very different place now because I've just created my life very differently. You know, I enjoy my life. Doesn't matter what time of the day or week it is. But there was a time where I did have those stresses too, and those situations where it's not cool to come back and having to face the music and debts.
So you were totally alone this holiday season, Shanti?
Yes, and I really liked it. I really liked it.
Tell us what you did. Tell us, like, how was that for you?
It was really cool. I went to the beach as early as I could because on the days that I could, because there was, of course, so many tourists here. They discovered my secret lagoon. I was mortified one morning. I got there and I had all these kids. I found a secret, secret rock pool around one of the beaches, and it's like you got to walk around, and I was like, wow. And every time I go there, and I go there often, no one is there. None of the locals know about that place. Lo and behold, I get there. There's 10,000 kids with fishing nets and buckets, and I'm like, what the hell? I stood there grumpy at like 7 o'clock one morning. Because I go there early in the morning. That's my best time to go to the beach. Anyway, so I turned around and marched off, and no, it wasn't quite that bad. But it was. I'm not going to kid. I was annoyed by them. It's like, what are you doing there? Leave my fish alone.
10,000 kids, Shanti.
Exactly. Anyway, so I decided, okay, well, I'll leave the holiday makers here for the couple of weeks, and I just get up in the morning. I do my own thing, but my mom lives in a house 20 meters away from me, so she was away with one of my sisters. So it didn't really make a difference because I live on my own anyway. But some of my friends around here were away. There was 2 of them that were here, but of course they have families as well. So Christmas is their sort of family time and what have you. But I was really actually enjoying just not having to be anywhere, because usually, as I said, my brother, they've also got a house, but he was away. So we'll usually go around there for lunch and stuff like that. And it was just, I didn't have to cook. I made myself the most delicious scones in the morning. I didn't get up early on New Year's morning. Usually I get up very early and I go and take my New Year's morning dip on the beach. I go and have my morning swim. This time I decided, it was raining a little bit. I decided to lie in bed until 9:30 in the morning, which was very unusual for me. I'm usually up between 5 and 6. And then I baked the most delicious scones, and I made myself some blueberry cream, fresh blueberry cream that went with that. And I munched on, I think I had 3 that
we should have gone to your house for.
Yes, exactly. No stress. Me and my cats. I love my cats. I lay, and I watched maybe some stuff on YouTube, whatever. And then in the evening, we had the gathering, which I really enjoyed. I must say, I enjoyed having the gathering with our viewers. It was
I really
good
wanted to try to be on that. I really did. That sounds like
well, we can have more. What we've decided. It's really, it's such a cool thing to meet you guys. I mean, I've got to say, for me, I'm a very sociable person. In many ways, I'm super private. You're not going to find me. Next year at my house, Liz, for sure. You all just okay. It'll be so fun. I've got a huge lawn, so we can all just gather on the lawn. It's usually as hot as anything. Bring your bikinis along. We're going to traipse off to the beach. I'll
no.
take you to, we've got the most beautiful beaches. Yeah, we really do. I got to tell you, our beaches are very well, they are beautiful, 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 really beautiful beaches. And they're not, even in holiday season, they're not very busy. So I love that. Yeah, and it's exactly, I say every day is Christmas. You're right, Peg. Every day is Christmas. It's wonderful. But yeah, so anyway, as I was saying, you know, for me, it's really nice to not just see you guys in the chat, but actually to connect, and especially at a vulnerable time like that. I'm a healer. I've always have been. I was born a healer. I was born with a feeling in my heart that I wanted to, I don't know, not help people, yes, just be kind to people. I was born in apartheid South Africa. It broke my heart to see how Black people were treated. And I could never understand why it was like that. So yeah, I have that desire to just share the good things in life, and, you know, just share space. You know, I think the best thing, the most wonderful thing that we can give each other is our time. You know, it's not about the material goods, right? It's really your time, just that moment of kindness, just the moment of how are you doing, you know, and just for those 2 hours where we could sit and people could just say hi to each other and sort of see each other's faces. That for me was very special. And we're going to be doing that more, as I said, I think the last Saturday of every month. Right now, we're going to be doing a gathering, and Caleb's going to be joining us on that as well. We're going to be sharing stories, and Caleb's going to be sharing some of his life as well, just on a more personal level. I think that's amazing because, wow, what an incredible human being he is. You know, he has really been through so much. He's literally been to hell and back, and I say and back. That's very, very, very important to notice. Hello, Gertrude. Karen is my friend from school. Her name is Gertrude. I used to call her Gertrude, and she called me Myrtle. Myrtle and Gertrude. Nice to see you, my beautiful friend. Anyway, so what I say as well, it's like that whole the to hell and back. And he's so vulnerable about who he is, you know, and he doesn't, you know, he's open about his struggles and what he's been through and still going through, make no mistake. And the fact that he's lived many years of his life in darkness, but he has found the light and he's seen the light. And he's every day, he appreciates that. He has his moments of high days, and for sure he has his moments of low days. And, you know, I feel blessed that he shares those times with me, and that he's willing, and so willing. I mean, guys, if I tell you what he was like a year ago, never in a million years did I think he would ever be sharing a tenth of his story, let alone be so open about his personal life as well. That in itself is a miracle, and I can't stress that enough. And I'm sure there are those of you who I know get that about him. So for me, it's really special that he will, and he really is a believer, and he really does belong to God. He always has belonged to God. That's what I'm saying. You know, even through his darkest moments, he always has belonged to God. God put him in that place because of who he is, because he would come out, and because he would show us the light. That is my very strong belief about that. So, you know, we're going to, you know, with him and just sharing some of his story, and not just him, lots of other people as well. You know, we're going to invite you all to be there and share your story too. You know,
that's what it sounds wonderful. I mean, it's really cool to meet the people behind the names and the handles, and, you know, I just think it's such a cool idea. I mean, I relate to Caleb in so many ways. It's like God does bring us through the darkness to get us into the light. And that's, you know, if there's anything that we can get from this is, just coming off of the holiday season. And it doesn't have to be a holiday season. It could be anything. It could be a graduation. It could be a wedding. Weddings are when you're giving your child in marriage to somebody else and they're not going to be home anymore and it's just a whole new phase of life. Any of those monumental things that we go through bring us through, the build up to the letdown, and
Absolutely.
I just
Absolutely.
remember after Nikki walked down the aisle and the whole ceremony was done, I went into the ladies' room and I just sobbed my eyes out. I just sobbed because I was like, this is it. It's over. She's now belonging to this man and they're going to start a family and this is a whole new chapter. So it could be anything that you're facing. Is anyone facing anything now that they've been building up to, that they're having?
I love that you're so open about that with Nikki as well. And I know that you've spoken about that before. Mm-hmm. And I mean, anyone who's been watching Alice from the beginning, Alice's struggles from her childhood to the borderline personality disorder and all that brings in. And literally watching your daughter walk down the aisle, and she didn't even know. And you crying your eyes out because you literally thought that she was being taken away by a man and she was leaving you. And I think that is such a challenge as well, especially in your situation, especially the struggles you guys had, right?
Right.
But really, at the end of the day, look at this now. You've gained a son, right? Not just your daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got this beautiful grandbaby. And I want to tell you, I was a single mom my whole life. And my son had a daughter with the girl. They never were married or even in a proper relationship. It was kind of like one of those friends with benefits numbers. And she fell pregnant. And from that, my granddaughter has been born. And I want to tell you, anyone who has a grandchild knows that I always say your grandchild is God's bonus to you for being a mom. Because that little thing, oh my gosh, those little arms around you, no, is nothing more rewarding than having a grandchild. So I love that you went through that absolute dark night of the soul on her wedding day, for example, and now I've turned that page and you see that was really a lie. That was the devil's lie telling you that she's leaving you or whatever it might be, right? And I really
so hard.
Yeah, I believe that.
I mean, in borderline personality disorder, we do not have our own identity. I know that sounds really weird. It's very hard to explain, but we are missing our own identity. And so we mirror off people a lot, and we have something called our favorite person. And our favorite person, they call it the FP in borderline. And Nikki was mine, and I found my identity through her. So it's like you morph into somebody, and in order for it to be healthy, in order for the relationship to ever be healthy, you have to separate yourself from your FP. And it's very, very difficult because the emptiness that you feel, it's like, who am I? What am I? You could look at me and say, oh, yeah, she knows exactly who she is. She's got it together, bull. I really, there are days I wake up and I'm like, who the hell am I? What am I trying to do with my life? And if I didn't have God, if I didn't have the Lord in my life to help lead me, I don't know what I would do. And my husband, of course, is just phenomenal, but we always weren't good. We were not always good. And there was a lot of turmoil in the beginning. So you go through it, but, is anybody going through anything right now that
There's a saying that's similar to codependency. I'd say it's even much more amplified, Liz, than codependency.
It is more amplified than codependency. Yeah.
Codependency is one thing. I think many of us experience codependent relationships. I mean, it's like, I think normal relationships when you've been with someone for a long time, which is why breakups are often so hard. In fact, I don't know one breakup that has not been hard. Even though you might be so out of love with that person and you might know that this is the end, there's that level of codependency that you develop, especially when you've been living together. You don't even have to be married. It's the separation. It's the new home. It's the living life without this person. I mean, fighting and arguing becomes something you depend on eventually, So I think codependency is more like a habit forming thing. But I think what we're talking about here, what you have, Alice, as you say, it's like your favorite person. It's like that you mirror yourself off that person. You become that person. You have no idea how to separate yourself from that situation.
No.
And I think it's that's what you're talking about, when it comes
to it's basically identity stealing. It's very hard for the person who's your favorite person because they are stifled and they feel so what's the word I'm looking at? It's like, she embodied everything that I was for so long. I went through each phase with her. And the other thing that made it really hard was I didn't have my own childhood. I was in foster care. I was, given up into foster care, and which really, you're going from home to home to home to home to home. So it's like you never have roots, or I never did. And so having a child like that we were so close, and she was into cheerleading, she was into dance, she was into gymnastics. It's like every phase she went through, I was going through with her, because I never went to prom. I never went to gymnastics. I never went to any of those things.
So she was really, you were living your life that you never had through her.
Yes,
and I think that's a typical situation of that. And especially since you came from such a torn background, right? You had so much instability, and the fact that at the age of 12 they gave you up for adoption. I mean, your parents put you up for adoption. I mean, that is just shocking. And that at the age of 12 you really had to go and redefine. And it's the, when we're looking at survivors of PTSD, people who've been adopted, people who've been abused, that sort of thing, there's that sense of, who am I? Who loves me? And this was the only person that you could identify with that was never going to leave you, right? You have a child. This child loves you, looks up to you, depends on you, and suddenly that is changing when it's not you as the main focus in their life anymore. Now it's somebody else.
It was. I felt like I lost a limb. There's no words for it. I really felt like I had just lost a part of my heart. Went into a deep, deep, deep depression over it. But we came out of it, with God's help, we came out of it. And certain days I'm sure of myself and who I am and, what I stand for. Other days it's like you almost feel dissociated. It's like an out of body feeling that you just don't know who you are and you don't know what you're doing. And so I don't know how to, it's very, very, very hard to explain it. And one day they have people with borderline personality disorder that are artists have done artwork of what it feels like to be borderline. And one day I want to bring those pictures on and just show them, Shanti, because they're so gut-wrenching. They're so unbelievable. It just takes your breath away. So one day I'm going to bring those pictures on and have you, if you know how to, I don't know how you pop them up or whatever needs
Yeah,
to be
no,
done.
happily. Well, why don't we bring them on the next show? We can bring them on the
Yeah, we
next
can
show.
do that. We can absolutely do that. Absolutely. But does anybody have anything to questions or my back and forth? I'm trying
I
to
just like Carrie, your comment here. All your guests, I love all your guests. I'm amazed on the forgiveness all of your guests have. It's helped me a lot, and it's so true. You know, it's just amazing that in these spaces we meet our spiritual family, and it's beautiful to have
the
all of
ARA
us here.
family. I know it's the Wolf Pack, but it's the ARA family.
Absolutely, Ara, absolute team Ara. We team
Yeah.
Ara, boy.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And I want to tell you, it's amazing because, as I said to you guys earlier, you know, our channel got struck maybe a year and a half or whatever now ago. And it's actually quite amazing rebuilding and being shadow banned. But it's also a wonderful thing because I feel like it's a very intimate family as well. And, you know, we're all kind of walking each other home. And there will always be those that are not that cool, but, you know, we're going to find that as well. So, yeah.
Your name's getting out there. I see references to your station. I see references to Caleb. I see references to Jesse on your show. I see your name out there a lot on social media. So I know it's shadow banned, but it's getting out there. So
yeah,
you know.
those of us who are meant to be, well, are always meant to be. So it's amazing. Okay, I'm just thinking sanitarium radio. She left me. The next one was one of my 5 children. She got sober and stopped letting me steal it back. You see, there we go. That's amazing. Do doctors misdiagnose bipolar with a lot of... Is that BPD? What's PPD?
Bipolar is different than BPD.
But what is PBD?
PBD?
I'm not sure. PBD.
I have no idea. PBD. P as in Peter? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, well we'll figure that out another time. Yeah. Okay. I missed out what Alice has. Borderline. Okay, she missed out. That's what I thought. Borderline personality disorder. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So maybe Peg is saying, I'm thinking my daughter has been misdiagnosed. Are the meds the same? Difficult to say. I think doctors will probably give you...
There's no med to treat borderline personality disorder. There's no one particular medication. With bipolar, you have lithium that treats bipolar, but there is no one drug that treats borderline. They have to actually treat the symptoms of borderline with different drugs. So that's how that works.
But I want to say to you guys as well, I've had Jerry Marzinski on the show, and I've got him on again on the 27th. He's coming on again.
That's the guy with the schizophrenia?
He's amazing. He's amazing. He's amazing. So you guys must catch that show with him as well.
I feel he's absolutely right on that schizophrenia is demonic.
Yeah, totally.
It is. Totally. I've worked with schizophrenia. If you have schizophrenia, I'm sorry. This is my personal opinion. I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist. I'm not anything. But I've just seen people with schizophrenia display. And it is truly scary. It's very demonic. And there's nothing like it. And they drug you literally practically to death, to shut down the voices and the hallucinations. And it's a really rocky, scary road. And I just thank the Lord Jesus that I don't have it. And for those that do, and those that have children that do, or family members that do, that is very, very hard. Yeah, who was diagnosed with bipolar, and I just have a few different personalities for sure. I've learned to love each of them. That's dissociative, DID. DID is dissociative identity disorder. Yeah, that's another one.
Big pharma, guys. And I tell you, I do believe there's, as we're talking with Jerry as well, the whole big pharma mafiosa, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
There's just really, I want to sneeze. You know when you want to sneeze and you can't.
God bless you.
Okay, guys.
Big pharma is, drugs can be bad, but that's why we have to research. We have to do our work. Yeah. I know that Shanti, that personally, there's certain drugs I have to be on in order to function. And it's just, I'm not going to feel drug shamed for it, because the bottom line is, if I were a diabetic and I had to take insulin, I would take the insulin. If I had a heart condition, I had to take heart medication, I would take heart medication. It depends on the level of your side effects of what it's doing to you. And
I definitely believe each person needs to use their own discernment. Mm-hmm. Each person needs to figure out for themselves what works and what doesn't. And that's what I'm saying. Big pharma is a money-making racket. But you've got to figure it out for yourself and not let them just pump you full of whatever they think they need to be pumping you full of, because they really don't know any different at the end of the day.
Joe and I research every drug I'm on. We know every symptom, everything. You really have to be involved with it. Where it gets really scary is when they keep giving you drugs and you don't know what you're taking, and then there's interactions with the drugs and all the rest of that stuff. That can get really, really bad, very scary.
Yeah.
So, but I couldn't be here on this show right now with you, Shanti, if I weren't on specific medications. So I know that for a fact. I've been around this block.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Long enough. So, I understand where you stand with it, but it's like they call it med shaming. I have to take certain medications,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. But that's why I say it's not just about, there's not just one size fits all. Yeah. And this is something I want to say to people as well. Just because your psychiatrist or whatever it is has told you have to do it like this, and it's not necessarily the way. Everyone is unique. Everyone is different. Your body is designed to heal itself. Your body is highly intelligent. Research, use discernment, and see what it is that you need. I like what you said, Peg. It's called foreplay, Shanti. It'll be a good sneeze when it happens. Yeah, I like that kind of foreplay.
That's hilarious. The other thing with medication is have a psychiatrist that you are not afraid to say no to.
Yeah, absolutely.
My psychiatrist will suggest certain things, and he'll hold up his hand and he'll go, I know you're going to tell me no. And, he'll say, I know what you're going to say, Alice. And there's certain things that he recommends for me I absolutely will not touch with a 10-foot pole. I will not go near it. And he knows that. So you have to have that symbiosis with the psychiatrist and the therapist, so.
Absolutely.
But we got way off topic. I don't know how the heck we got.
Well, we always, I mean, that's all on topic, really, at the end of the day. It's all relevant. Anyway.
So.
Okay, guys and girls. Well, on that note, we're going to bid you a beautiful farewell. Alice, do you want to end off for us in prayer? I know you like to do that.
I would love to. I would love to. Father God, we just come to you on this beautiful, glorious day that you have made. We rejoice and we're glad in it. And Lord, we just lift up anyone that is suffering with physical ailments, mental ailments, emotional ailments, anything that they're feeling right now. Lord, would you just touch them where they're at and let them know that you are there for them, Lord, and that you are all that they need. Lord, I just thank you for Chantelle. I thank you for this show. I thank you for this platform. I thank you for all that she has done to bring awareness to certain situations that most people do not want to even touch or talk about. And I just thank you for the opportunity to be able to use my voice on this platform. So, Lord, we just praise you and have a wonderful day, people. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Amen. Happy sneezing, everyone. None of you are watching. Thank you, Peg. Okay, guys.
Chantelle, thank you so much. Thank you, people in the chat. Thank you. You're so wonderful.
And we shall see you tomorrow. Is Wednesday. Yeah, we've got Jessie back tomorrow, guys. So I will see you. Yes, we will see you with Jessie tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the infiltration of these military, or as you go, military. Military. It's military.
Okay.
With these, what's happening in America and these people, and it's a scary time right now for you guys. And if it's happening there, it's for sure infiltrating to us here as well. So the more of us who know what's going on, we're aware of it. So yeah, military, yes, Duke, exactly. Okay, guys, take care of yourselves. God bless you all. Have the most beautiful day, and I wish you so much love. I wish you health. I wish you wealth. I wish you abundance in the best way ever.
Yes.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.